Hello, true believers. This is Doc Hogg, and welcome to episode 117 of Comics and Variety. If you like this channel, please do subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified when I post new videos, and for the sake of YouTube's search algorithm, please do hit the like button. Well, the campaign for Tilt is barreling along. It's now at 80% funded, so it's in good shape, but if you haven't backed it yet, you really should do so. And let me mention of the top tiers where you can get drawn into issue 2, only one of them is left, and that is the Straight Flush Be a Mob Bodyguard. At that tier, you will get drawn into 2 pages, you'll get to kill some of the other characters, and then you will die by having a dagger thrown into your eye. Best of all, I've dropped the price of that tier by 25% from $400. It's now only $300. So get it soon. The link to Tilt is in the description below. I also want to mention an indie comic that I'm backing called Peregrine, Wings of the Falcon, brought to you by the whole gang that runs the YouTube show called Graded Point 5. They are a fun bunch, and this looks like a really good comic, one that I'll talk more about at the end of this video. But suffice to say for now that it has only about 3 days left on its campaign, and I don't know if they will extend it, so do hurry and get your copy. Alrighty, today we're going to talk about something that Adam Post brought up in one of his recent videos, and that is numbering a comic as issue number 1 when in fact it is a one and done. That is, it is not the first in an ongoing series, but just a single standalone issue. You know, why put number 1 on the front if there is not going to be a number 2? Isn't that kind of false advertising? Adam was going over some suggestions for the comic book industry from some comic book retailers, suggestions that they had to try to really save and, greatly improve and maybe save the industry. And this is what Adam had to say.
A single issue story one shot should be clearly labeled as such in our solicitations. It's what a scam. Stop using the number 1 issue bait that implies a new ongoing series. It's not needed if the content is quality and it gives value back to the consumer. See, they know what a consumer is. The customer is the consumer, but not everyone's customer in the supply chain is a consumer. Only the retailer. So the retailer gets to hear it. Got to respect the retailer so the retailer can respect the customer. The end consumer, their customer. Consumer trickery and publisher wordplay are not needed to return the market to a healthy place. In other words, really stop it. Stop it. Respect the consumer.
Now, here are 4 comics that were one-offs, and these are ones where I fell for the ruse. I thought the number 1 was part of a series. And the Captain Marvel and Venom titles are the most annoying because you figure those would be, a multi-issue series. The end sounds momentous, right? You could draw out that kind of story. And what also sucked is that they were both kind of lame comics. So anyway, I'm the type of person where the mule has to kick me 3 or 4 times before I get the education. But I have now wised up and I am a bit more careful. However, one of the things I want to address here is this a case of false advertising or is it buyer beware? Well, it certainly pays to read some about these comics before you buy them, or, at least look at the last few pages of the comic when you see it at the comic book store. That said, it is false advertising because, you see the number 1 and most people think that that is the beginning of a series and nothing on the cover tells you otherwise. Now, I doubt that that is a violation of the laws against false advertising, but it is certainly unethical. And I think it's also short-sighted. You annoy the customer when you do this. When he buys something thinking it's the first in a series, then he gets home, reads it, finds out, oh no, it's a one-off, and, you annoy him enough and he may stop being a customer. Now, very quickly, did I like any of these comics? Actually, Black Mask and Nightcrawler were pretty good. They were good stories. The art overall was really good in Nightcrawler and not too bad in Black Mask. That said, there were some problems. In the Black Mask, they bring in the lesbian relationship between Batgirl and Renee, And there are only two reasons to bring in a lesbian relationship into a story. First is because it adds to the story, and here it kind of does. Renee plays a part in the story, and it would be hard to introduce her without rekindling things a bit between her and Batgirl. The problem is with the other reason, and the other reason to introduce a lesbian relationship.
Lesbians equal ratings.
And it seems at first like they do that here, Renee says you need a shower, which of course means that you're going to have two hot women in a shower, and then, we turn the page and we get no shower scene. Then there is Nightcrawler. I enjoyed it, but some of the art was... Thank God I don't have heart problems. Okay, to wrap up this part, let me say that from here on out, the mainstream comic book industry should label one-offs as such, something like special edition. That would be far more ethical and be less likely to annoy the customer, and that's why you can be 99% certain that they won't do it. Okay, so moving on to Peregrine Wings the Falcon and why I'm backing it. Well, first is the plot that Piper, one of the creators, this is how she described it to me, quote, "The world is recovering from a cataclysmic event that greatly reduced the superhero population, including the most famous one, Silver Falcon. His daughter, who was disinterested in the whole superhero thing, now feels pressure to take on his mantle, but doesn't want to be the next Silver Falcon." The gang at Graded Point 5 has also described this book as the first in what they call the reconstruction. And what they mean is that in so many comics today, especially mainstream comics, the superheroes have been deconstructed to the point that the heroes are really no longer heroic. In fact, Just Some Guy has a superb video about that, and if you want to know more about it, I'll link to that in the description below. But at any rate, Graded Point 5, they want to rebuild superheroes, ones that meet challenges and face their weaknesses by actually being heroic, or at least trying to be heroic. And, they don't face their challenges by, falling into evil like so many superheroes do in mainstream comics these days. So I am definitely looking forward to that reconstruction project. That said, I just want to, before I finish here, I want to tell you what I think is the best thing about this book, and that is the statue here. It's just one very impressive piece of artwork that really stands out. Okay, so back Peregrine as soon as you can. The link is in the description below. And that's all for now. Until next time, have a very nice day.
Schemes and scams.